Ha guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steve Kerr ripped Anthony Edwards during pre-draft workout. Not the type of guy to give $50 million to. Steve Kerr and young star Anthony Edwards are working side by side for Team USA in the 2024 Olympic Games. Naturally, their complicated history has come to the surface and fans have been left in shock to see what Kerr told him during a pre-draft workout years ago. Kerr had his doubts about the guard from Georgia who put up big scoring numbers that didn't always translate to team success. The first impression was it was hard to tell whether he was going to be good or not because he was just so raw. Case said via The Ringer, "He was so young and he was full of energy with which we loved, but we just worried about was he going to be a worker because he didn't know anything." The workout did little to sway KK opinion. K stopped the session after an hour and tore into the guard he was like. Imagine everybody walking through the door as $50 million. Holland recalls Kerr saying, "Because the way you're working out, you're not the type of guy to give $50 million to." Their Warriors had the second pick in the 2020 NBA draft and there were three players under consideration: LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman and Anthony Edwards. Of course the Timberwolves took Ed Waters with the first overall pick, so it really came down to two players for the Warriors. Whatever they saw in Edwards that night, it was enough for Kerr to call off his draft pursuit for good. For Kerr, the key to success for any potential young star was humility and hard work, which he didn't see in Edwards at the time. Instead, he just saw a talented kid with an overinflated ego. Eventually the Warriors settled on James Wiseman in hopes of finding a quality big man who could establish a permanent place in the rotation. As we know, that assessment was horribly wrong. Sadly, the Wiseman era in Golden State was short-lived after he failed to crack the rotation in 3 years with the team. Through 60 games, Wiseman of era 99 points and 5.0 rebounds per game on 54% shooting. He was traded to the Pistons in the 20,122-23 season. Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards has emerged as one of the best young players in the league. He's the star and the face of the Timberwolves with averages of 25.9 points, 5.4 rebounds and 5.1 assists per game on 46.1% shooting. It's fair to say that Kerr and the Warriors made a huge mistake by not drafting Edwards when they had the chance. He could have elevated their team to another level and extended their dynasty for at least a decade more to come. Instead, Kerr will have to live with coaching him for Team USA, where he's clearly made a strong impression on his coaches and teammates. It seems to empower Edwards to prove the doubter wrong, and now that he's on the world stage, he's surpassing every expectation after leading the Timberwolves to the conference finals this May. Anthony Edwards intends to build on his success and prove to everyone that he's ready to take up the mantle as one of the best in the world. By the end of it, he'll be making Kerr and the Warriors regret turning him away. Warriors are considered dark horse to land Nets veteran. The Golden State Warriors have been one of the most successful teams in the NBA over the past decade. They have won 4 championships in the past decade, a sign that they have been both dominant and consistent, making them a yearly threat. However, after what some considered a down year in the 2023 to 2024 campaign, along with losing Klay Thompson in the offseason, the Warriors are still looking to make some changes if they want to contend next season. Losing Thompson could prove to be a devastating blow to this team, especially considering he gave them immense upside from beyond the three-point arc. There have been a few different ideas thrown around as to who the team might add in the next several weeks to help their chances of picking up another title. According to Brian Lewis of the New York Post, the Warriors could be a dark horse for Cameron Johnson. Johnson made a name for himself the Phoenix Suns and has spent the last year and a half as a member of the Brooklyn Nets. He could be a good fit for this Warriors squad considering the fact that they need another starter. Steph Curry can't do it alone, and with Draymond Green's status up in the air, it could be another underwhelming season for the Warriors if they don't do something. Johnson won't be a free agent until the 2027 to 2028 season according to Spot Track, so if the Warriors want him they'll likely have to put a hefty trade package together. Blockbuster trade pitch could freeze Warriors out of Lauri Markkanen and sweepstakes. The Golden State Warriors have attempted to trade for Lauri Markkanen without giving away all of their assets and young talent, but lurking competition for the 7-footer could push the Dubs out of the conversation alto if they aren't careful. Both the San Antonio Spurs and Sacramento Kings were potential Markkanen and destinations this summer, as was the Oklahoma City Thunder. However, Anthony Slater of The Athletic reported on July 11 that the Warriors appear the most determined to land Markkanen and thus are the most likely destination should the Utah Jazz ultimately decide to move him. They are in this Lauri Markkanen installed hunt, basically, Slater said during the July 11 edition of the Warriors Plus Minus podcast. I think they're probably the premier team that has had the best package on the table. I think if Lauri Markkanen had been traded at this point, we all agree it would be the Warriors. The Kings had bowed out. Spurs don't seem as thirsty. That's one of the biggest things that's happened to the Warriors, and Oklahoma City has pivoted while the Thunder traded for Alex Caruso and added Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency, positioning themselves as top competitors in the Western Conference. Greg Schwartz of Bleacher Report crafted a trade proposal on Tuesday, July 23 that would see Oklahoma City swoop in and steal Markkanen out from under Golden State. The Thunder have a massive number of future draft picks, so while Schwartz pitch wouldn't empty the entire cupboard, it would at least severely deplete one of the cabinets. The deal includes a 2025 first-rounder that originally belonged to the Jazz, first-round selections in 2027 and 2029, second-round picks in 2026, 2027 and 2028, as well as 2024 first-round selection. Nicker topic number 12 overall. Alzum Ding and Kenrich Williams. Schwartz laid out the case for the Thunder taking such a big swing after already adding 2 potential starters this off-season to a team that lost a competitive series to the eventual West champion Dallas Mavericks in the conference semi-finals earlier this year. No other team has more draft ammunition to trade for Markkanen, who would help turn what was once a small front line in OKC into 37 F-footers. Schwartz wrote this trade would create a significant gap between the Thunder and the rest of the West. It would add another 20-point-per-game scorer to OKC's starting lineup while only making a small dent in the team's future draft picks. The haul Schwartz put forward would be difficult for the Dubs to match in sheer volume, though Golden State would have one advantage. While Oklahoma City's future appears exceedingly bright for perhaps an unprecedented window considering all of their young talent and draft assets, the Warriors have only a limited time to compete at the top of the West, as such future first-rounders from Golden State, of which they can offer Utah up to 3, as well as future second-round picks and future swaps, all are as more valuable assets because the Warriors are highly likely to finish lower in the standings than the Thunder in most seasons over the next decade, sending the Jazz back one of their own first-rounders in 2025 along with topic who Oklahoma City picked in the lottery in 2024 are the 2 immediate pieces that fit with Utah's tear-down in rebuild plan that Golden State would have trouble matching in short-term value. While the Thunder can take that swing, the team also has the luxury of waiting to make an all-star acquisition until doing so suits its purposes precisely. Heather Marinen fits the bill is unclear, thus the Warriors remain in the driver's seat among suitors for Marinen, though Shams Charania of The Athletic on July 15 reported that the two teams are at an impasse with regards to a return package for the 7-footer who averaged 23.2 points and 8.2 rebounds in 33.1 minutes of playing time per game last season following an All-Star campaign in 2022-23. And you fan, what do you think of the situation of Lauri Markkanen? Leave your opinion in the comments.